Bleach, in my opinion, is one of the most underappreciated series in the anime and manga genre, and due to the recent anime adaptation of the Thousand Year Blood War arc, I wanted to look back at Bleach. And before this video starts, and I'm not an expert on Bleach or its lore, and this is just my opinions. First off, the art. Now this is obviously important for any manga, however Bleach's art for me stood out the most amongst the big three, as it was stylistically beautiful and instantly recognisable, which I believe is important for manga, and is in every one of the greatest of all time pieces of comic or manga, and has a very recognisable look, which Bleach also does. With the various character designs being incredible, the best example is of the Goatee 13 captains, each of who wear the Shihakusho. Obviously the multiple different unique ways they wear them is a really cool, nice touch to distinguish each character and their personalities. And something that Kubo was criticised for is his lack of backgrounds, which I believe is quite a lame argument, as some of Bleach's most beautifully drawn panels, if they had a background, would take away from what Kubo was trying to get the audience to focus on. And for me it gives it much more of a cinematic look, which Kubo always wanted to give this show throughout its run. This incredible art is enhanced by the character designs of the show, the series having a great sense of fashion, which for me is an important part of any piece of visual media, due to being recognisable, and Bleach, thanks to its creator, has that in droves, and it's helped massively by the anime adaptations. Now, of course, anime and manga are separate entities, and the Bleach anime, you can criticise it for messing around with the story and its large portion of filler. However, it really is able to bring almost equal beauty of the manga with its beautiful animation, use of colour, especially in the new adaptation. Like any great show, the music is incredible and still used today, even getting used majorly in memes, which for me is a sign of a great song 90% of the time. And this music and animation really adds to the show's greatest moments.
I have no name. Ichigo, what a complete amateur you are!
Another great thing the anime added is the stuff it added for itself. For example, Byakuya's Bankai in the manga is just the colour of his sword. However, the anime changed the colour from pink in the anime to grey, which was in the manga. Really adds to the Bankai and to its iconic status. And possibly the greatest thing they'd done was this scene in which Aizen stops Ichigo's theme. Now, during every anime series, or superhero series in fact, whenever the main character's theme is played, it usually means they are in some way winning the fight or making a comeback. However, in Bleach, while we were watching the first time, it's incredibly shocking, as it also breaks all conventions of a shonen show. As in any other show, it would probably end up with Ichigo damaging Aizen, however it does not, and really adds a great genius touch from Studio Pierrot. Next, I want to talk about Ichigo. Now, Ichigo's character that is seen as essentially a boring main character, compared to the more highly esteemed manga characters. However, I believe that this is a false narrative. While he's not the most complex character, he does have some heavy themes during his time as the main character. One of them is of survivor's guilt, which features heavily during the series' first arc and subsequently after, and what informs his eager nature to protect those he loves. And this need to save everyone is done truly well throughout the show, from Orihime to Rukia to when he comes back to Soul Society, in which Byakuya, who is near death, asks him to be the saviour of Soul Society, all the while Ichigo is helpless to save him from certain death.
There's one last favor. Please, will you protect the Soul Society? Ichigo Kurosaki.
And while his goals aren't that grand in scope, it makes sense considering he's essentially just a teenager who kinda just wants to live a normal life while being forced against his will into these tough situations. Despite not having a grand goal, he is a character that many find relatable, and for a shonen protagonist, his goals and personalities are certainly standout. Next, and possibly one of the best things writing wise that Kubo is able to achieve, is during these moments of defeat or despair, which I think Kubo is able to illustrate both writing and drawing wise perfectly. Of course, the Byakuya moment, which despite where his character would go, is a perfect example of that despair idea. And that feeling of losing it is done perfectly throughout the rest of the series, whether it's when Ulquiorra blasts the hole through Ichigo, or even during Kyora's own death. The feeling of loss is conveyed incredibly, which I think is key to Bleach, as sometimes shows fail to deliver in these big emotional punch moments, or pay them off, and Bleach is able to do that most of the time. Let's see how they handle the ending. And this Despair is the focus of a whole arc, the Fullbring arc, which is probably the most mixed arc in terms of reception, as it's either hated or loved, and the theme of the arc is overcoming despair and regaining his resolve. I'm talking about Ichigo, after losing his powers, which I think is personally done quite well. So overall, Bleach is an anime and manga that had significant impact like the rest of the big three, and in my opinion is an underappreciated series that deserves much more respect. And while Bleach isn't a perfect series, due to Kubo having direct input to the 1000-Year Blood War arc adaptation, it really helps and allows for Bleach as a series to have the conclusion that it truly deserves.